everyone, thanks for coming back. Me again. Now my next guest is someone who doesn't live with sickle cell themselves, but they are largely impacted by sickle cell from family members and also friends, including me. It's one of my best friends. Seth, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me here.
So to start with, just let the people know your name and kind of your relation to sickle cell then.
Okay then, so my name's Seth Morgan. Janica's going to be referring to me as Seth, which is absolutely fine. I don't have sickle cell, but I have the trait, so I have the trait. My relationship with sickle cell has pretty much been introduced to me since I was really young because my dad has sickle cell, and I would say suffered quite badly. I've also got family members with sickle cell, so it's really been at the forefront of my life, and I was introduced to it when I was quite young. Yeah.
So let's kind of go back then. This is interesting for me because obviously some of these things I don't actually know anyway, so it's just interesting for me, I'm Ina already. Someone want to know the thing then. So take me kind of like back to when you first, probably your first memory of seeing sickle cell, for like what it was or even having an understanding of it.
Okay, so I was probably around about seven, around the age. I was definitely in primary school, so I was probably like 7 or 8. And I just remember going through a period where my dad was in hospital, and it seemed like every couple of weeks he was in hospital. Now Dudley Road, we grew up in Winson Green, so Dudley Road was around the corner. I was living with my dad at that time. My mum and dad were together, and he was just always in hospital. And when I would ask my mum, like, why is my dad always in hospital? It would just more be portrayed to me as, he has to have a blood transfusion. So blood transfusion was just a common phrase. That's all we knew in the house.
Did you know what it was?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. He's having a blood transfusion. What does that mean? He's got sickle cell, he has to have it. That is all I knew as a 7-year-old. Wasn't really told what sickle cell was. I just knew my dad's always in hospital. He's always having blood transfusions. And then going to the hospital and seeing him just unwell, and not knowing why he was unwell, because he went from being in hospital to being out, and then you just back to normal again. So it's like, okay, why do you have to keep going? So when I say often, it felt like it was every couple of weeks, he was just in hospital having a blood transfusion. So I was like, what is this sickle cell thing? But they never explained it to me when I was younger. Like, I never really understood what it was. I would say I was probably about 16 when I started to understand, like in school, being around more people.
I was going to say, was that from people telling you, or was that just from, do you think you was just older, you did your own research, or what do you think?
I would definitely say more my own research, because I feel like people expected me to know what it was. So
because your dad had it, right?
So because I was told, like from a very young age, okay, your dad's got sickle cell, he's always in I linked sickle cell to blood transfusions. Yes. So I thought that's what sickle cell was. Mm-hmm. Someone who has sickle cell just goes to hospital and has blood transfusions, but I don't actually know what they go through, because he never showed us pain. Now, I don't know if that was from an ego kind of, I don't know if it was ego or, I literally don't know why that was the case, but I would never see him in pain at home, ever.
Okay. So it's almost like that probably took place in the hospital, or
yeah.
It's interesting that you said that, because we've spoken to a few males, and they've actually shared that whole, like, it's hard to show that vulnerability, like as being like an older sibling or being someone's partner. Like it's just like that male thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but then it's crazy, because I would speak to my mum, and my mum speaking about it would say, like, I've been in situations where your dad is curled up in a ball because he cannot move, and he's in so much pain, and he's had these crises, and ambulance need to come, and I don't know, we was in the house, but I just didn't see that side to things. And then obviously when my mum and dad kind of, parted ways, my dad was living on his own for some time. again, that was just more about prevention. It was never, okay, Seth, sit down. This is a condition that I'm living with. This is what I've got. It was like, no, shut the door, it's cold. Electric blanket on, water everywhere. I need to make sure I'm drinking. My bed was always hot. That's what it was. So there was no explanation of sickle cell. So I had to research it. I had to.
It's interesting that you say that, because I feel like that was how I grew up as well. Even though it was me, like you said, it's like people expected you to know because your dad had it.
Of course.
It's weird because even though I had sickle cell, or have sickle cell, as a child, like nobody, even up to this age, I'm going to be 33, not one person has sat down with me and said, this is what sickle cell is, this is what it means, this is some of the things that you're going to have to go through. Like, people just assume because you have it or because you're surrounded by it, you should just already know what it is. And that's not even.
And I guess it's a bit
case.
of, as well, I would say, like from my dad's point, was that whole notion of you don't know what you don't know. So his parents were just so, they were not interested in sickle cell. My dad had to go school. He talks back to this day, he had to go school and run cross country. And his dad, which was my granddad, would just be like, you know, he would try and get out of school, my dad would, and he would be like, no, go to school. So he's saying all this time I was out in the cold, my body was like giving up on me, I was in so much pain. And my parents didn't even really want to take me to the hospital because they didn't understand what sickle cell was.
Did they know he had it?
No. No.
When did your dad know that he had it?
My dad knew he had sickle cell when he was like 21 or something.
Oh my God.
When he kept like passing out. He kept passing out. He was driving buses. He kept passing out. And then he found that a lot of the times he would like go for jobs and he'd be in that job and working, but this pain would always overcome, like, you know, take over his body. Didn't quite understand it because he always said like the crisis thing was more later on in life.
Yeah.
So he was affected by different things that he says happen to males that have got sickle cell.
Yes.
But he didn't understand what was going on. He just thought that was growing up, puberty, stuff like that.
Right.
It was only when he just kept passing out on a bus. Went to a hospital in London, and they told him like, you've got sickle cell. And then he had to start doing more, which is really crazy because he always says, from knowing that he had it, that's when everything else started to come along. So he was like, I wonder if I was never told how I would have lived my life.
How you would have lived. Because there were some people that I've spoken to where they would say that they didn't know their parents knew they had sickle cell. Their parents chose not to tell them.
Okay.
Because they didn't want them to feel limited or feel like they were like incapable of doing certain things and stuff like that. And I suppose mentally, I don't know if it's a thing. I know that there's that whole what you think about, you bring about, or if you know it, then does it suddenly become apparent? But then, on one hand, I don't know, because if you imagine I can't imagine not knowing and going through that pain and thinking, what the hell is wrong with me? Exactly that. That would drive me crazy.
Yeah, and like I said, my dad has been very much prevention. So he had to know, really, because that's how he chose to move forward with it. It's all about prevention for us. So anything, you know, he started telling me things about sickle cell, not what goes on with him, not anything that's going on with his body, more like just to prevent it, do this. And I think he comes from a negative space with that because his parents didn't understand. So he didn't have the love. He didn't have no one to go through that journey with him and kind of love and care for him whilst he was going through that. It was just like, no, you ain't got that. What's that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you're dealing with it as an adult. So he doesn't have that. His approach is quite negative to it. So knowing that I had the trait, prevention, anyone you get with, they must be tested.
Because I would say that from like growing up and stuff, when I was in school, you was one of the people that knew, like most people that don't even know what sickle cell is, yet alone if they have the trait, you was like, yeah, I've got the trait. Like, you knew.
I knew from very young. Because my dad, he just made it a thing. Like, I needed to get tested. I don't actually remember when I was tested. I just knew I had the trait. As soon as I got to an age where he thought, you know what, she could be getting intimate with anyone, straight away everyone needs to be tested on the, like there's nothing, there's no way that they can't be tested. Like, yeah, that is it.
How was that for you? So when you did get into relationships, obviously you've got children, did you have that conversation, or was it just automatic? Did they know already? Like, how do you work?
No, I've been very upfront, and I think it's like, it's kind of the way you're grown up, like the way someone kind of grows you, because it's been that, he's almost put a notion into my head that sickle cell is so serious and it's so dangerous that if you don't follow that, then you're gonna end up like me.
Yeah.
And you don't want that because I'm in too much pain. Yeah. So yeah, literally I just made it very clear from the get-go, I've got the sickle cell trait, so you need to be tested. Yeah.
Did you ever think like what would have happened if the test was different?
Wow, of course you do, because you think, oh my gosh, and you can't help who you like, you know, you fall for and stuff like that. But yeah, I do think about that. What if it was different? But then I think, because my dad was so strict with it, it would just be like, Seth, there's so many guys out there. If you met someone who had the trait, it wouldn't be worth going. It wouldn't be worth it. And that's what he would drill into me all the time.
It's interesting that that's because he instilled that into you. That's like, you know what it is.
Yeah.
I feel like for a lot of people, even though they know that, you know, if you had two people have the trait, they could potentially have a child with sickle cell. But then how bad is it really? I feel like that's people's reaction to it.
Yeah,
and so sometimes that's why there's, I think at the moment it's like, it's over 300 babies every year born with sickle cell or something like that. And it's increasing, or like it's the fastest growing genetic disorder now, because I personally think it's just because people don't realise the seriousness of it.
Of course. And it's that whole, like, I remember being taught a little bit about sickle cell. Oh gosh, was it in secondary school, or it must have been secondary school? Taught a little bit about it because it was that whole chances. A tiny bit. And all the teachers, oh, you know, if two people have the trait, it makes that, if that and that. Because I used to try and work it out, and that used to be fun for me. But I think generally people get together and think, oh, we possibly won't have a child with sickle cell, so let's just try.
Because the possibility is more, it's more likely, I think it's 1 in 4, so it's a higher chance that you won't. But there's still a chance.
There's a possibility that you will,
There's still a chance.
And that makes me think, like, could sickle cell be erased, like, going forward, if everyone took the correct...
I think if everybody took the correct precautions, maybe, but how do you... This is something that's, like, it's discussed within, like, the sickle cell community, like, it's something that needs to be stopped, but how can we stop it? And then not everybody thinks the same. There are still people that think, you know what, if you get with someone and they've got the trait, or you get with someone and they've got sickle cell, or if two people that have sickle cell get together and have a child, then it's just love, or it was destined or ordained by God. So it's like, it's almost like there's free, everyone's free to do what they want. How can you stop them?
Yeah, no, that does make sense.
From doing it. I don't know. So anyway, back in secondary school when you met me.
Oh gosh.
It's, do you know what? I was trying to think back when I was thinking, okay, when I talked to Seth, I was trying to think back to when because you know, I feel like in school I didn't know that your dad had sickle cell. Even though you probably told me. I don't know. I just remember that after I had the stroke and then I was on the blood transfusions, I feel like then you said something like your dad had to have transfusions or something like that, but it was almost like I wasn't taking it in. But not until I knew that you had a cousin that also had sickle cell and Shakira. So how was your kind of, aside from your dad, what more did you learn as you got older about the condition or the seriousness of it then? Because I know that your dad kind of drilled it into you.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between hearing it, you didn't see it with your dad, but then seeing it, obviously, I say with me at school. What was I like? Do you remember me being sick?
No, you see, Jenica, literally, in school, you have never missed out on anything.
I know.
You're everywhere, you've never missed out on anything. You've always given life your all. Do you know what I mean? As kids in school, you was just like you was the same as all of us. We were just kids. We were having fun. You was always everywhere. I just remember your mum reminding us, like when it was getting to later stages of secondary school.
It was like older.
Make sure she's wearing her clothes because she's going out with no clothes like the rest of yours. So just little things like that. But in school, I don't remember you being sick. I remember you having like when you've had like a period off school. But I don't remember you actually being sick and being in pain.
No.
But I just remember I've got a friend who's got sickle cell as well. Do you know what I mean?
That's the same for me. And I was wondering, I know that for me, primary school was more, it was a little bit worse. And then when I got into secondary school, it was like, this is me now. Like I had the freedom to do what I wanted to do, because in primary school it was like, Jenica, you're not allowed outside. You're not allowed. And I think there was probably because obviously school was strict, innit? So there was sometimes like, I think like probably PE was the only times where I used to be like, nah, if it's cold, nah, I don't want to go outside, or if it was raining. But then there were ways where we couldn't get inside, like it was just not an option. Like dinner time, you're outside.
Exactly.
So I feel like secondary school, I felt like I was very much there. But what I also remember is that I never wanted anyone to know how bad sickle cell was.
I was gonna say,
I never wanted anyone to know.
You never really, the Jenica that you are today, big ambassador of sickle cell, you was never that person. It was always, don't really tell them, don't really let them know. I never felt that you liked to speak about it at all. Yeah, it wasn't a topic of conversation. You just got on with life and you done everything that we done, literally everything. You never let sickle cell get in the way of everything, but also you didn't speak about it. So we weren't actually clued up. When I've heard some of your other conversations and I'm like, this is what he's going for at school.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how? Like we were just living life as teens. And
it's so mad. I feel like, and maybe other people that like have sickle cell will get this. Sometimes it can seem like from the outside, you're doing everything, you're not missing anything or whatever, because there might be like, when it's like, I'm not well, or I'm not feeling well, or probably feeling tired, and I just don't go. It's just like one thing that Jen didn't come to. It's never really like, oh, I would never say like, oh, I'm not coming because I don't feel well, or I'm not coming because I'm in pain. It would just be like, oh, I'm not going. Even for my mum, like I can remember my mum saying to me, it's not every single place your friend them go, you must go. You're like, sometimes you can't say no. And I used to say to my mum, you don't know how much things I don't go to. And then I suppose from the friend perspective, it's like, oh, you go to, like I would think, okay, out of all what's happening, which one's the best one that I want to go to? And then I'll just probably go to that and not go to that. And it's like all that decision making that you do, unless you actually speak about how you're making these decisions, what's really happening and stuff like that, no one really knows.
yeah, of course.
And even though to me, I felt like, oh, I tried to keep it a secret, but I guess I couldn't to a certain extent when it started to get really bad, probably like college. Well, I seem to do a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, definitely. You hid it away really well. You definitely hid it away really well. But there was a few things I do remember, because you always used to have things for your birthday. So I feel like it was anytime you had a birthday celebration, that's when we was reminded that, oh yeah, Jenica's got sickle cell. Yeah. But everything else, you were just there, active.
All up in business.
What's kind of sad is that we didn't know you was actually going through so much until a time where it started to get really serious. Do you know what I mean? And I would say, yeah, college was terrible for me. Yeah, college.
Upon reflection, I do wonder, and this, I can say this as someone that lives with sickle cell, but also as someone that can hold accountability for my own decisions and actions. How much of it was like, okay, there's some bits of sickle cell that is just inevitable. Like you're gonna have like my hip stuff and the bone stuff and whatever. But how much of it was, oh, I didn't really want to wear my coat, or didn't really want to do this, or I was trying to be in and do every single thing and I just couldn't manage, like my body was tired or whatever. But yeah, college was college was a lot. So there was one specific time, one or two. One specific time when I was in college, well, the one time that I want to touch upon, which my mum spoke about in her episode, which was when I was in intensive care. Now, I don't remember who knew. Like, I know that people was coming to visit me and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. All I know is that after that, everyone, like, was, like, on it. You especially, you are, like, I know that with our friends, it's like you're the mum of the group. But sometimes I'll be doing something or I will think about something, you know, and I will look at, you know, when you give that look like, oh, you're not going to wear your jacket, or are you just going to go like that? Like, it's like all of a sudden everyone was like on it, and I don't know, like what happened. Not what happened, but like I'm just in the bed, innit? So listen, I don't really know.
I kind of vowed never to speak about this day, but because we're doing these conversations, I'll just kind of let it go now. I remember your mum contacting us, and saying, I really need to speak to you. Now, when your mum put on that, I really need to speak to your voice, it was Mommy B's voice. She really needs to speak to us, it's serious. I remember meeting with your mum in Bearwood. I think she was at that shop then, working there. Yeah. I met with your mum, and your mum just started saying, like, Janica's got this, Janica's got that. And how I remember it being described was what Nathan had. You was going through that, like, Janica's really bad, she's not well. And I'm like, huh? But the way your mum's speaking was like, as a mother, like your mum usually was the person that kept all the faith. Janica's gonna come out, she's gonna be fine, everything's gonna be good. But I'd never seen your mum in this space before. So I remember speaking to your mum, and I had to ask the question to your mum because she's talking and she's saying all this stuff, but I'm like, the only way I can understand it is if I ask the direct question. So I'm like, do you not think Janica's gonna live? Like, do you think Janica's gonna die? And your mum broke down. Your mum broke down. She said, I don't get teary.
I should have said, I know, I will, but it's because, remember, for me, like, I think just to protect my own self, I don't ask questions. Yeah. And I know that this is why I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to talk to everyone at some point, but you more so, but because things happen and then I get better. Yeah. And it's like, no one speaks about it. No one speaks about what happened. I know what I went through. I know how much pain I was in. But for you guys to have to see me like that, I don't know what that's like. And it's almost like I don't want to know because of this. But carry on.
You see, like, you gotta let your emotions out.
You know me, crybaby Jen, like, I'll do it.
So your mum was speaking like that. I remember going home that day and I couldn't function. I was bawling. I was telling my mum, I was like, Mum, I don't think she's gonna be okay this time, because I felt like you was going for a period where you weren't well a bit. You was like constantly like not well. You was in hospital, and it's all fun and jokes when I live around the corner from the hospital. Oh, I come visit Jenica in hospital. But then it's like when we leave the hospital, you're still dealing with what you're dealing with, and then we're gonna have to go. But Janica's gonna get better because she always gets better. But it was that time, the intensive care time, I was like, I don't understand. I started praying to God. I was, that day when your mum told us, I don't even think she told all of us. I don't think she told all of us. And she said, like, just please don't say anything. But your mum was broken that day, and that's what hurt me, because I felt like your mum had kind of lost, you know what I mean? She had to be strong all the time, and then it wasn't that day. I went home and I just cried, and then I'm quite, the way that I think anyway, I just don't even know why I think like this, but I just start to sometimes think the worst in situations. So I'm just like, that can't happen. Like, we do life together, like.
I know, like.
She can't just, that don't make any sense. So then I was crying and I was telling my mum, and I was just like, oh, this is great. Or, that's when I started to think about, okay, sickle cell, and I started researching more life expectancy. Okay, Janica's this age, because I can remember your mum saying something that stuck with me, and she's like, anyone can walk out on the road and just kind of get like licked down by a bus or whatever. And she was kind of speaking in that way, like, everyone has to go, it's the only thing promised to us. But I'm like, yeah, but that can't take Jenica. Like, that's not fair.
Yeah.
So I just remember being upset that day, and I thought, do you know what? I've got to do what we can. If Jenica pulls through, we've got to do what we can. We've got to do what we can. I'm like this up to this day. Even the other day when we was doing the filming, I was like, you don't need to go, because Jenica was asleep. Like, it's always, I don't make it a big thing when we're around each other, but it's always at the forefront of my mind. And that could be to do with losing Shakira.
I was gonna say.
You don't want to be in a space where you feel like, I could have done more to help, because then you'll be living like with more regrets like that. But yeah, I'm just like, this can't happen. So seeing you unwell, that was the worst. Because I remember when we couldn't see you, we weren't allowed to come in and see you. And I'm thinking, she's really bad then. She's really, really bad. So seeing you was relief, even though, you know, you was really weak and stuff. And I know you didn't like us to always come to the hospital, because there was times where you would be like, I've come out of hospital now. And I'm like, hey, you was in hospital? Yeah, I was in hospital for the past week or something. You know, you used to be talking to us as normal, and you've been in hospital.
I know.
But I remember the time coming to the hospital and seeing it, remember, and you was unwell then. And I was like, breathe, Jenica. Breathe, Jenica.
That was
Do you
so
remember?
But do you know what? There are some like significant moments, because I feel like when I'm sick and you're on the drugs and everything, I don't remember like the whole thing. It's only if I write things down, or I would only remember like significant moments. But that time when I was in that kind of, I think I was in like it wasn't ITU, but it was like a step down from it. Like I had my own nurse and stuff. That was when I had did I have a blood clots and stuff? So I think that was related to the blood clots, and I was there, and you was like, Jen, you gotta breathe.
Listen.
I feel like when you come, I was tired, and the nurse was like, your oxygen's low, you was not. I just wanted to sleep. You was like, come on, let's do it together. Breathe it, hold it.
You can't breathe.
All of these deep breathing.
Yeah, and that's it, and like, I feel that losing Shakira just made everything. There's always those pinnacle moments where you're like, oh my gosh, okay, we know it's serious, but you live life, and then it's like, oh no, it's really serious. That's what you go through. You go through your moments. Janica's in the hospital again. Oh my God, it's really serious. Yeah. You come out, you live life with us. You don't forget, but you put it to the back of your mind, and then it's like, oh my God, this is really impacting, you know, her life.
Can we talk about Shakira, because I feel like for you, and I don't know, like you said, it made the way that you are with me, or the way that we are, is probably a lot to do with your experience, obviously, with your cousin. But as I've kind of got more into the field of what I'm doing, and obviously I'm in Jamaica, that was like a thing for me. Like I remember I told you when I met her mum, and then it was just all emotional and stuff. So for the references, for the people then, can we just give Shakira her flowers?
Oh my gosh, Shakira, my cousin Shakira Martin.
Anybody Google Shakira Martin?
Just Google her.
Just Google Shakira Martin.
Oh my gosh, no, Shakira. So just my memory of Shakira and everything I remember, the same as with you, growing up with Shakira, she was just a normal child. She didn't let anything, sickle cell didn't get in the way of anything that she done. The memories with her, she just done everything. She was always there. You know, just living her best life. She was happy. She just never let that get in the way. Like, you know, there'd be moments where she'll be in the UK and she's like, it's too cold, man. And she'll like, try to put the hoodies on, and she got her Timberland boots on. But she never let it get in. She always wanted to do stuff. Like, we'd be sat down, if we was in the house, because we had to be. She's like, I want to go out. I want to do something. Shakira's just done so much for the world. Her legacy, you know, will live on. Her mum, her brother, her dad. She's just done so much for the world. She's Miss Jamaica, multiple times. Like, Shakira was just literally, if there's any kind of person to live, like, you know, when you have that big influence and you're like, this is a role model, this is someone that I want to say, I want to live like this person. Beyond having sickle cell, she just really is the definition of YOLO. Literally. Like, I'm going to do what I want to do because I'm not letting nothing stop me. And I've always held on to that. Losing her was just, I can't even describe the feeling. I was still quite young. There's like 6 years ago now. I was still young, and you know, you're just in a space where you just, you know, she lived in America, we lived over here, but she's gonna come over, or we'll just see each other soon. We spoke loads via WhatsApp. It was WhatsApp then. We spoke loads on WhatsApp. I'd speak to her on like Facebook. She was a Beyonce fan, so we were just like, who's the biggest Beyonce fan? And losing her was just a period of, it's just numb. It was just numbness. It was cold. It was dark. Because, you know, when you speak about like, how can that person not be here? They were here yesterday.
They were just here,
And you're like, huh? I just spoke to you on WhatsApp, just. How are you not? It didn't make sense to me, and I just felt really guilty. Like, losing her brought around a sense of guilt. Like,
why guilt though?
More like, just as in not living enough. Not living enough.
Yes.
That, when I say she's like the, you know, literally the person to model living your life, just not living enough, and feeling guilty about this person is living with this condition, doing all she can for the world, you know, and done so much.
Even for all she can for the sickle cell community as well, because I feel like I used to, like, she would always be like in the Glee now, in the Voice, like, in terms of what was done in Jamaica. Like,
she was big, and like, it got to a point, don't get me wrong, I remember Shakira going through the same as what you're saying. So when we was younger, and she used to come around and everyone was around, there was no talking about her sickle cell until it's like one day she's like, forget it, I own this. And then everywhere she went, she was like, sickle cell. So you just got to rate and respect her for that. But losing her was just so hard, because it was like, that made me think about you. And I know sometimes I may have like pulled you closer, feeling like I'm getting closer to Shakira, just because of your experiences, or feeling like, you know, not to you, like I said, Jen, you're one of my best friends, but like being there at your side sometimes gives me,
it's like,
okay, this reminds me of Shakira as well, and being there, like, okay, this is what I feel I need to do.
It's interesting you said the whole, like, I just spoke to her, like she was just here, and then she's just not, because I feel like for a lot of people that don't know what sickle cell is, or how much it can affect someone, it can very much be that quick.
It's crazy.
Like, I can be here now fine, and then in the next couple of minutes or less, something serious could be happening, and it could be so critical.
I was speaking to Shakira on WhatsApp. She was in hospital. I was speaking to her on WhatsApp. So I was like, there's no way. Like, she was saying she was quite bad, but no one's gonna say I'm gonna die.
You're talking to me, yeah.
You're quite bad, but we're talking about Beyonce. Like, so, I mean, how bad are you, girl? And then it's like early hours of the morning, or I think it was like the next day, early hours of the morning. I'm like, it just doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense to me, and I couldn't put it together. And I was like, why? She's too young. And then it's just, it's only happy thoughts when I think about Shakira. It's only happy thoughts, and she's a constant. Her birthday was yesterday, actually. Happy birthday! But it's just a constant reminder to live your life and to not let anything get in the way of you living your life. And that is where you've got to hold Shakira, but it's also that holding on to you, because not wanting to go through it. Because I'm actually closer, physically closer to you, and we've been through a lot together. We've got so much memories, and feeling like, nah, I'm not gonna be the one. No, I've got to go first. I'm not going to be the one.
Say this.
Yeah, we speak about this. I'm just like, no, I'm not going to be the one. So it's anytime I'm hearing that you've got, like, Janica's flying here, Janica's flying there, it's just like, just chill. Jenica.
I feel that from you, like, so much. And I know it, obviously, Shakira had, was it a pulmonary embolism as well, innit? And I remember when I got diagnosed with that, you was like, if you weren't worse than my mother.
Yeah, I didn't want you to go anywhere.
Jen, no, like, you can't.
Don't
remember
fly.
we were meant to go for you, it was your birthday?
Yeah, I'd be for her, yeah.
Oh my gosh, like holiday plans and everything. And then I was just like, like this.
But you was actually trying to come.
Yeah,
and I'm like, Jenica, like, just listen to the doctor, please. Like, no, you can't come. Yeah. From when you said it was that, I was like, you can't come. Because this can't be a replay of anything that's going on. Like, you can't come. And I think there's been moments like that where I am a bit more interested in what's going on with sickle cell.
Yeah.
You know, because of stuff like that.
I remember when we all went on holiday, I think it actually was to Ibiza. And it was me, you, Steph and Shan.
Yeah.
And we got to the hotel and stuff, and I was unpacking my suitcase, and then I unpacked my medicine bag. Do you remember? And I don't know if I remembered, like, unpacking my bag, and then the medicine bag was there, and then something, and then afterwards it was like, let's sit down and have a meeting.
I know, we need to.
Jen, what do we need to do?
Yeah. What do we need to do?
And I was like, I've never done that with anyone else before, like, or any of my friends and stuff. And I remember, like, saying, like, I'm nothing, like, there isn't anything. But because I'd never been asked that before. But I think sometimes there are moments where you just know, like, these are my peoples, because otherwise they just wouldn't care.
100%.
Or they just wouldn't have an interest. Or it's just like, oh, you got tablets. You got beer tablets, take up pharmacy or whatever. But it's never like, what's this, what's that? What do we have to know? What do we have to do?
And we're like that. We need to know. We want a step-by-step plan. If this happens, what do we do next? What happens next? Because we've got a duty of care. And that is like, I know you are living with the condition, but we have a duty of care. Like, we see you doing all this stuff now. You're doing amazing things for the sickle cell community. We've got a duty of care. If God forbid this had to stop, we have a duty of care. It must continue. Do you know what I mean? So, it's like, we just have to be there. It just, we all have sickle cell. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, I'm more interested as well. Just because of the whole trait, and you know, I've got children. Tizaya has the trait as well, so it doesn't just. I feel that a lot of people with the trait kind of feel like, oh, we've got off and it's okay, but
it's not.
2 of my kids don't have the trait. 1 does. It hasn't stopped for me, because there's still a possibility that, you know, a child with sickle cell can be found in the family. Yeah.
Do you follow the same kind of militant kind of, you know, this is sickle cell trait and it's serious, like how your dad was with you with Tizaya?
Yeah. So she knows, like, so Tizaya, like, she'll read your book. So your book's amazing. She'll read your book and she'll say, when she's reading to Tiori, I've got some of them. I've got some of them shaped cells, but you've just got the normal circle ones. But she's like, she'll say things like, I don't get it, so I've got a little bit of sickle cell, but I haven't. So I'm like, she needs to start hearing about sickle cell from now. And it don't mean, oh, for my kids, like the ones that don't have the trait too, you like don't need to know because you don't have the trait. Well, you do need to know because your partner could have the trait. And then it just brings
your
back
children
that
could still have
possibility.
the trait.
Yeah, of course. So, I don't follow the militant, as in prevention, but they need to know now. They have to know now.
Okay. I've got a question to ask you.
Oh my god.
Even though I've been asking questions the whole time. Have there been any times, I think, did I ask my mum this question? I don't know. Have there been any times where you feel like, Jen, like you just want to shake me and tell me to like stop or calm down, or just, why did you do that? Or like,
Of course.
Oh, I wasn't expecting you to just say that.
Of course. Like, first of all, I didn't even want you, for my own selfish reasons, I didn't want you to fly anywhere. I didn't want you to go anywhere. Forever. You know, when you went through a phase of, I'm going to Africa and I might find somewhere to live there. I was
yeah.
This can't work. You've got to find a different way. So there's times when you are literally booked and busy. And I just want to be like, Jen, it's too much. But then I see that you kind of do it. Even now, like, there must be so much pressure on you. You're doing so much. You're doing loads.
But do you know what? I feel like it seems like I'm doing loads, but then there's times when I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
But I think because I don't, like, how do you show nothing?
Yeah, no, I get you.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like I bulk things together. So it's like, I'm doing this today, I'm doing this today, I'm doing this today. But then for 3 days or 4 days, I will do literally like, I'll sleep or watch.
Yeah.
I might do a bit of like whatever admin and stuff, but I have times where I'm doing nothing. But I can feel the energy through the phone of like, Jen.
And times when we used to go out, like, I feel like and because you're the feisty one, sometimes you can't tell you nothing. So it's like times when you would go out and you've like got certain clothes on, or you just, whatever, man, don't care.
It's a quick thing.
Like, sickle cell's not running my life. But you're like, no, but Jen, like,
I know.
just put a coat on right now. Or when you're just on the go.
How does that make you feel?
A part of it's like, you kind of like sometimes have to step back because you're like, it's Janica's life, and how do you make someone feel like you're like, because it's like, okay, be up in your business, try and prevent what's going on, but then what do we like shadow you or cuddle you for the rest of your life, and then you don't get to have that experience? Do you know what I mean? We have to like have that notion of, you know what's best, or you're gonna do what's best for you, and if you want to do that, you should be able to do it, even though we're like, no. But a lot of the times when you want to say no, it is from a selfish point of view. Like, it's from a selfish, I don't want Jenica to fly there because I don't want her to be on WOW when she's there. Do you know what I mean? It is selfish. You could go there and have the best time of your life.
It's not the point.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not the point. No, I don't want her to fly. She shouldn't be flying. Her doctor said no flying, so no flying. And that's how it feels. But it is really hard because you're battling with someone trying to just live their life. And, you know, it's kind of like, if that was a role reverse and I just want to do my thing, why am I being told and dictated what, you know what I mean? So I definitely, it's hard. It's like, live your life in one sense. It's working for you, isn't it?
I feel like I've found a balance. Jamaica's been a good part of the balance. I know you're not 200%. Not a fan of that, but we'll save that. What do you want to see kind of like change, if you could change anything around kind of like sickle cell, whether it's, I don't know, awareness, education? Obviously, you've got children that carry the trait, you carry the trait, so what do you think you'd like to see kind of change for the community?
I feel that everyone who doesn't have sickle cell, or maybe doesn't have a family member that's impacted by it, they still need to know about it. So it's awareness. Like, everywhere you go, billboards, everything, cancer, or something. Even like diabetes has been everywhere recently. Diabetes, high blood pressure. These are things that people wouldn't even put in the same categories. You can't compare someone who has high blood pressure to someone who's living with sickle cell. It's not even the same, but the marketing for high blood pressure and the marketing that you see for people that have got diabetes, it's everywhere, it's in our faces, so they're getting their words out there, their education. I feel that because, especially like where we are in England and stuff like that, most people that do suffer from sickle cell are not of, you know, this, I feel like we just need more awareness. And because you don't really come across like people that are not from like an African and kind of Caribbean background that suffer with sickle cell, it's like, well, we don't care about that. because it doesn't affect our own. So as a minority, there's always going to be like less exposure to it, but that's what I think is wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So if that could, I don't know if we could change that some way. We need, I don't know if that could be changed. It's definitely awareness. There's people up to this day that do not know what sickle cell is,
and I find it crazy. Sometimes they make me feel like, what am I doing?
Yeah. It's mental, because how can you not know? Oh, I've heard about it, but I don't actually know what it is. And that's what's scary. It's actually scary. It's scary. You know, you've got that unit at the community, the SCAT unit at the hospital. So you go there. I remember going to the SCAT unit to get Tiori and Tazea. Well, it was Tazea, sorry, I had to bring her there because she has the trait. I remember the doctor saying to me, so which one of your parents have sickle cell? And I was like, my dad. She's like, what's his name? And she knew him.
She knew him, yeah. We all know, everyone knows
each other, yeah. And that's a shame, because when you, on the grand scheme of things, that's just a small community. So you know that person because what you work on the unit, or it's such a shame. Everyone in hospital should know you then if that's the case. It seems lovely because it's a small community, but it's, on the grand scheme of things, compared to everything else, it's really unfair.
It is, and the fact that I think that's like that because of that, like the SCAT centre at City Hospital is the regional centre for the most of the Midlands. So even people in Coventry or outside of Birmingham, that's where they have to go to get their main treatment. They might be able to go to other hospitals, obviously in emergencies and stuff, but that's where they're meant to be seen at least once a year, I think, for their like consultations and stuff like that. So it's just
mental.
It's mad. It is mad.
It's mental.
It really is. So I could obviously sit and chat to you all day about this, and we're going to continue the conversation over dinner probably. But I want to say thank you for kind of speaking to me, being open. Sorry I cried, but hi baby. Do you have any questions for me before we wrap up?
What you got in the pipeline? No, I'm joking. No, just thank you for having me. This must be really hard to sit and speak to everyone and to bring things back up. It's really digging deep. Like, this is therapy, this is.
It feels like it sometimes
to me. This is therapy, yeah.
But it's like therapy in front of the people.
Yeah, because you're asking people like, how do you feel about me? Or what was your experience with me? And it's hard to speak about when you're trying to like act strong. Do you get what I mean?
Yes, but I do feel like as much as I'm doing, like, I like having these conversations, obviously to spread awareness and to educate people as well. I feel like the people that I speak to that I know, it is a form of therapy. Because other than like in this setting, like, I don't know, when would I ever say, so Seth, remember that time, how did you really feel?
Yeah,
like, I'm never really gonna say that. And I also feel like, I think because I'm at a stage where I feel like I'm managing okay, I haven't had no major complications for a few years. Like you said, life is short and you just don't know. So there were just sometimes things that I want to know, or there's always like room for improvement, or maybe there's things that I've done that I haven't thought of, and I thought, well, do you know what, that was a bit stupid of me, or whatever. Like, I can do that. I'm open enough and kind of, I think, accepting enough of sickle cell and the fact that sometimes, I do just want to live life, and sometimes it's probably a dumb decision. Like,
but okay, so do you still feel like that now though, or do you feel like you take all the precautions necessary?
I still push myself, but in a different way. So like before, I would do silly things like, oh, I don't want to wear a coat. Those kind of things, I think, well, that's just stupid, because I know if I go outside and I'm freezing cold, like later I'm gonna be in pain. I think I don't do those things now because I also rely less on the hospital. So I more manage my pain at home. I hate taking painkillers because I hate the way they make me feel. And it's just, like, for me, sickle cell used to just be, oh my gosh, it's so painful, and then I'm in hospital and I'm sick for ages, it takes me long to get better. But I actually realised that I'm sick and I'm in pain, but the reason it takes me long to recover is because of the medication I'm taking. And then I have to get it out of my system because I get really bad side effects.
Okay.
So the sickness and the drowsiness and all of that stuff, it's like I get more sick to fix myself, if that makes sense. So that's not worth it for me, like the whole tablet thing. So if I do something stupid, like I'm gonna end up in pain, now I feel like that's my responsibility, because I know that I'm gonna be the one that's at home, not able to do anything, and trying to not take too much painkillers so that I don't have to deal with the long-term effects of it. So I don't do silly things like that, but I think sometimes I still do the overdoing it, even though I try not to. So I might look at my week and think, okay, I could push that, I could squeeze that in. And I probably know it's a push, it's a reach, but I'll still do things like that. But what I am also I'm better at kind of knowing, like when I'm tired, switch off, like I'm gone. Like there's no question about it. So
you won't push there, you just get your rest.
Yeah, I think mostly it's like the fatigue and stuff, and that I try not to, because those are the ongoing things that just make me go slower. Does it make sense? I've got all these things that I want to do, and if I do one thing, it could mean that I'm not able to do everything.
Yeah,
that's so
true.
So I have to think about it logically like that. But obviously you're a big help, because you're always like, you sure you're right? Sure you're gonna do that, Jen? You sure you don't want to? Jen needs to sleep. All of that. No, but thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Love you.
Should we hug?
Yeah, come here. I'm gonna reach over. I don't want these guys far away.